Murder Things. The Nerd Uprising.
Welcome back to Nerder Things, and we're going to do our review of Captain Marvel. So let's get started. What did you think, wife?
I thought Captain Marvel was pretty good. I had to get used to Brie Larson playing Captain Marvel because she did an okay job. At times, some parts were better than others.
Opal?
Okay, so, well, I didn't understand because I heard that her backstory was like her giving in an accident and ending up in a hospital. And then when she woke up, she got her powers. Isn't that it?
So you just opened up a can of worms because Captain Marvel has the weirdest story. Because there's so many characters that played Captain Marvel. Right? There was the Captain Marvel for DC Comics.
This is Billy Batson, star reporter for station WIZZ-TV. He has been picked by the aged wizard Shazam to carry on the wizard's lifelong crusade against crime and the forces of evil. When Billy speaks the wizard's name, Shazam! Billy becomes Captain Marvel, mighty champion, combining the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury.
There was the male Captain Marvel. There was the female Captain Marvel. And the first female Captain Marvel actually has an afro, Monica Rambeau. So I thought it was interesting that when they first brought up the name of the mother was Maria Rambeau, I said, well, why is it the same name? What are they going at? What are they trying to get at? And we know what they're trying to get at is they kept dropping several Easter eggs that she said I want to come flying with you, and Nick Fury says, hey, you're gonna have to get the all glowy first because, well, it makes sense because in the comic book she was the first one. So there's kind of that issue. For me, growing up, she was Captain Marvel. The other Captain Marvel, I was too young to read. He was already dead in the comics. They said that I think he died of cancer, and then, he died of cancer, and they said they'd never bring him back ever, and they brought him back for one issue of Silver Surfer, and then they took him out. So anyway, there's the DC Captain Marvel, there's the white male Captain Marvel, which I guess white males weren't supposed to go watch this movie, right? That's what she said. Brie Larson. I don't know. I liked the movie, but she said she didn't want white males going. I'm not white, but I am a male. Like, was I okay to go? That was kind of weird. But anyway, so then there's the black Captain Marvel, and this Captain Marvel, this isn't even, like, her name was Ms. Marvel. This is Miss Marvel. She was in the Avengers, and she was always like a character. She was always like a supporting character. She was never at the forefront. For this movie, they've tried to make her the Marvel equivalent of Wonder Woman, and she's really not. You could argue that probably Marvel's most popular female character, would have been Mohawk Storm. Not the Halle Berry, feigning, can't handle fighting the Toad, passes out using her powers, but, like out of the cartoon Storm.
Please, Storm, you're not strong enough yet.
Leave me! Company. We've got to let her be.
No!
I summon the full power of the storm!
You didn't like Halle Berry playing that.
I didn't. They haven't done Storm right anyway. So anyway, there's all those Captain Marvels. How many is that? Because Ms. Marvel turns to Captain Marvel, and then I love it. The white female Captain Marvel says, "Hey, I'm taking your name." So then the black female Captain Marvel gets screwed and has to change her name so many times. she becomes like a photon and
Spectrum.
spectrum and electron, neutron, phaser. I don't know. They keep bouncing around from names. She doesn't have a name, right? It's kind of like you don't talk about as racist. Why are all the black superheroes start off with the name Black? Okay,
Wow.
I feel
There
like
you go.
I feel like there's a rant starting, but all the superheroes is black. Like we know they're black. They don't need it, right? You don't see any white superheroes saying white. You know that name doesn't start white. But anyway, you look at Luke Cage, aka Power Man. Like they were so lazy. Like they just said Power Man. Like we know you have powers. They get to the black guy. They say you're Power Man. We don't want to think of a cool name. So anyway, they had Ms. Marvel. She becomes Captain Marvel, and then there's a teenager who has stretchy powers, and she's Indian, not Indian from this country, but Indian from the continent of India. She becomes Ms. Marvel, and then the son of the original Captain Marvel has a son who's the original son of the original Captain Marvel, and when you look into his skin, you see his stars. He doesn't have skin. It's like looking into space. And then there's the daughter Captain Marvel. Right, and then this Miss Marvel becomes Captain Marvel. So it's convoluted, but I think it's interesting. They are kind of making her an amalgam of every Captain Marvel in the comics. Right? I can remember reading a comic book. For most of you, 99% of you, comic books were these things that used to be on newspaper that we used to read before we had cartoons, television shows, and movies. We had these things on a piece of paper. Okay, I'm ranting now. What was I saying?
Something about a piece of paper.
No.
Right. I mean, I do this and I go back and I black out and I have these rants. I'm getting old. I black out. I have these rants. I look at the video like, what was I on about? So yeah, they had these pieces of paper called comics.
People still read comics today.
On the iPad.
No. You could go to the library and check them out.
Anyway, I was reading a comic book where, first off, Thanos beat every member of the Avengers and Fantastic Four, and that was with Thor and the team. He knocks everybody out in one hit, and they had to be saved by Captain Marvel. So they're upping her power level to meet his original power level. And yeah, she's going to be an amalgam of all the characters. And apparently, if you believe what the rumors are to be true, she's going to be leading the team when, supposedly, the conjecture is that Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor won't be on the team, which actually happened in the comic book. My only problem with it is that it wasn't this version of Captain Marvel that led. It was Monica Rambeau, the Black Captain Marvel, that was the first female. I believe she was the first female team leader, and that had to be like 1985.
Wow.
So if you want to talk about them making this into a whole, actually, you know what? Before we move on, Junior, what do you think?
I think the movie was in the middle.
You didn't want to go see it because it was a girl.
No.
Why?
Because I ain't got no time for that.
No time for what?
Watching the movie.
About a girl. So yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so
Hold on. So forgive Walter for being young, but there was a whole big thing,
Yeah.
and there was a whole big. Sorry, I said your code name. He's Batman. He's Iron Man. He's Iron Man. Walt Jr. used to be so fascinated with Iron Man that if you didn't like what he was saying and he was like 3, he would just go choo 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 choo. And you get that in the face.
I remember that.
Right? Anytime he didn't hear, it's time to go to bed. Choo 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 choo. So there was a whole big stink, and all the trolls came at Captain Marvel and tried to give it low scores because she said she didn't want white men to see it. And I didn't think that the movie hit you over the head with it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, there there were things that I liked about the movie, but there were some other things towards the end I didn't like. So this is not spoiler free, by the way. But some of the things I thought were cool was they had they were fighting for the cosmic cube inside of a Fawn's lunchbox. Well, they call it in the movie, they call it the Tesseract, but in the comic book, it's actually a cosmic cube that lets you rewrite reality on the planetary level. So they were fighting for that inside of a lunchbox. Do they even have lunchboxes anymore?
Yes.
Yeah, we always bring it to school.
It would totally,
if you don't
it would
buy
totally
one.
make sense that they would have 1/6 the power of God inside of a Fawn's lunchbox. And what was up with the cat?
Yeah, the cat
The
kind of
cat-
threw me out.
Huh?
It's not a cat. It's
The only part I liked
something.
was the cat.
Really?
Really?
What were you gonna say, Opal?
In DC, Bumblebee, leaded Teen Titans West.
Led.
East.
She led. Opal, you go to an expensive school. You should know that.
I know.
All right, so yeah. The whole deal with the male-female thing didn't really bother me. I think the one thing is I just didn't like her as an actress. I don't know what it is. She looks to me like one of these girls that was a pretty girl in high school who thinks that she's all that, but really she's kind of ugly if you look at her in the face.
What?
Oh.
She does. And also, I know there's a family channel and everything, but I don't care. Why is her booty so flat? Female superheroes don't have flat booties. They have curves. They have curves. What is that? I mean, you can see her in the picture. She's got no legs. Does she squat? Why does she look bony? She looks like she needs to eat a sandwich. It doesn't even make any sense.
I'm pretty sure that's prejudice.
We'll probably wake up after we do this, and there'll be a bunch of Me Too people on me. Do I rant a lot?
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
great. You know why? Because I can rant on this channel, and I don't care if anybody watches it. But sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't. I don't care. It's great. It's an outlet for me to unleash my rage.
What?
Oh boy.
There's an
Here
inner
we
person
go.
inside me. There's an inner person inside me that wants to yell all the time, like, "You dang kids, get off my lawn! Don't walk across my lawn! You kids are making too much noise playing outside."
You would make a perfect Oscar the Grouch.
People only did that in the 70s.
Flippity flu.
Flippity flu.
Flippity flu.
What?
So anyway, I liked the movie. I was okay with it. The story was fine. The whole Nick Fury and Captain Marvel buddy movie was kind of fun. But there were two things that, and you know, also at the end when she's fighting, what's his name? Genisville, something like that. Actually, first off, the scientist that she found, her name was Marvel, and the original Captain Marvel was Marvel, so they changed it to Marvel. The man and the woman, they changed this, they swapped. That didn't make any sense to me.
What?
And I don't appreciate it like when they change gender and race. Like the character's the character. Like who in the hell asked for a black Spider-Man? His name is he's Hispanic and he's black, and they may as well call him Pedro Parker. His name is Peter Parker. They've got enough characters to be able to focus on without changing it. It makes no sense. They're flipping everybody. Right? I can't wait till they change Luke Cage into a Jewish guy and have him yell "Sweet Hanukkah, Sweet Hanukkah." I mean, it's like for Doctor Strange, they had the Ancient One, who's an older, he's an older Chinese gentleman who's like 1,000-year-old. They changed it to an older woman. He went from being older Chinese man to older Chinese woman. Sorry, older American woman. Didn't make any sense. So anyway, I was fine with the story. I didn't like the character. I'm sorry, the actress doesn't do anything for me, but the story fit the comics. There was a lot of guys upset, like, oh, they can't believe she's going to lead. They can't believe she's more powerful. Actually, if you look at the different iterations of the character, the original character was that powerful, as they're building her up to be. And the second iteration of the character, Monica Rambeau, Captain America asked to lead the team when they all left. So I was fine with that. But there's a couple of things that really bothered me. Like, first off, I'm not big on retcons. Does anybody know what a retcon is?
No.
It's all these people. It's Comic Con, kind of.
No. A retcon is when you go back and act like something happened in the story that never happened. So they went back and said she's been in the Marvel Universe this whole time. Right? 30 years she's been in the Marvel Universe, and they just said she's been there. I don't like stories like that. It's kind of like, for all my comic book nerds out there, like the Beyonder, they tried to say that he was all the power of one universe and all the living beings in one universe where they had no free will, and he created everybody to worship him as they had no free will. He discovers our planet, and then he absorbs everything, all life in that entire universe into himself, comes over here and has the complete powers of God and can do everything, and then he pulls all the Earth's heroes and villains. He makes a planet, pulls them there, and says that I will give you whatever you want, but I want to understand what this free will is. So of course, what else would you want to do but make Thor fight Dr. Octopus to discover the meaning of life? So he tries to discover the meaning of life. But they retconned him to say that he was really the Cosmic Cube. They're always retconning. Oh, he's really a Cosmic Cube. And he's only just a part of the Cosmic Cube. He's only a part of the Cosmic Cube along with the Molecule Man. They do this. So they do retcons. Like they say, well, no. What color? Answer this without you. Don't answer the question. I already told you. What color was the first Captain America? Answer it without. You already know. I told you the answer, but answer what you thought it was.
White.
Blue.
Blue. The first Captain America was black in the comics. Right? It's kind of like the American government did an experiment like the Tuskegee experiment, where they experimented on black people and they let them die. And the American government, they let all the blacks die to the super soldier serum. And then the one of them made it and had superpowers. And they said he was there the whole time. He wasn't there. They just added him in and said he's the first black Captain America. And they made him sit on the porch and swing on the steps. Or it's kind of like this. It's kind of like this century. They retconned him to be like around the time of the Fantastic Four. They said he's been around in the Marvel Universe since the 50s, and it was their version of Superman. But he got the stop squirming, Junior. He got the super soldier serum, but he got 1 billion times the dosage as Captain America. And he runs around, and his catchphrase is, I have all the power of 1 billion exploding suns. And then later on, his catchphrase is, behold, I have become Galactus, eater of worlds. But he was never in the universe. So they're doing a retcon like they did with him. And it will be interesting to see what they'll do with Fantastic Four. Because the Skrulls are a Fantastic Four villain, and Marvel's getting their rights back to them. So we'll see how they do with the Fantastic Four. But Fantastic Four was the first supergroup for Marvel. But I didn't like how they retcon. Okay, they retcon her. That's fine. But I didn't like how they retcon the name where he's saying this is the Protectors Project. And then he sees that her name in the Air Force was Avengers. So she takes off the Protectors and then puts Avengers. I didn't like that. Like they named the Avengers after her. And then at the end, after the post-credit scene, they're like, "Oh, what do we do? What do we do? Thanos has destroyed half the people. I know. Let's activate this thingamajiggy and call in Captain Marvel to save the day."
But they didn't know who was on the other side.
So that's fine. But there's been some other things released where Thor is like approving of her and they're moving her up. I just don't see them making her the center of it, and they've already said it. She's going to be more powerful than the Hulk and more powerful than Thor.
Ooh, girl power.
Great. Girl power is great. Girl power is great, but Wonder Woman was realistic because that's how she is in the comic books. And in the comic books, Wonder Woman is the equal, right? They call it the not trilogy, the trio. Forget what they call it. Wow, the triune? No, it's with the three of them. Whatever three is, it's Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are the big three.
The Trinity?
Trinity. They actually gave them a comic book series called The Trinity, where it's starring the three of them because Wonder Woman is
How'd you
is
know
on
that,
that.
Opal?
Wonder Woman is on that level. They're putting her up in the Trinity.
Mm.
She was never that big in the comics. To be in the Trinity, it doesn't. I think they've kind of gone too far. And really, they've had writers and everything talk about it. They had some writer for DC say it was shameful that since they didn't really have strong female characters, they're just going to throw them in now and say this is how the character is. So if I was to review this movie, I liked it. I would give it 7 out of 10. I would give it 7 out of 10. Also, the final fight scene, she goes up and blows up a ship.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Right, she goes up, blows up a starship, fights over. It felt like Thor, where he knocks out the destroyer in one hit. Give me a break. The destroyer can't be knocked out like that. Right? Like the destroyer was created by Odin to be all powerful and immune to any sort of damage whatsoever, and he just knocks the destroyer out in one hit. And that's what he did. He powers up, knocks the destroyer out in one hit, and moves on. She kind of did it. So the movie felt to me like it was a little bit safe. I don't know. It felt like it was a little bit safe and by the numbers. And really, like, do you need to go see it? I don't know. Do you need to go see it? It's probably on the level of Ant-Man and the Wasp, to be honest. Do you need to go see it? I don't. It's not like a necessary movie to go see, in my opinion. It's like a movie that you'd want to go see. I would be kind of controversial because I'm black and I'm not allowed to say anything bad about Black Panther, but she suffered from the same thing that Black Panther did, is that there weren't very many fight scenes. Right? Black Panther had 2 fight scenes in the whole movie. The one where he's chasing the car around, and the other one at the end where he's on the vibranium train. She didn't have very many fights. They weren't powered up fights. So yeah,
My favorite.
7 out of 10 for me. Final comments? Final thoughts? Junior?
What? How did they call the people in space?
How did they what?
Call the people in space.
Oh, yeah. Well, all you have to do is go down to Radio Shack. Have you heard of that? Have you heard of Radio Shack?
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of Blockbuster Video?
Oh, yeah.
Have you
We
heard
used
of
to go
Have you heard
there.
of a phone booth?
Yeah.
All you have to do is go. It's a
Everybody.
little known fact. Like, we've been looking to find aliens this whole time.
Mhm.
It's a little known fact. All you have to do is get some technology, plug in some radio materials inside your payphone, and then you can call outer space.
That's a good question, Junior.
That's all you. That's all you have to do to call outer space. Also, Nick Fury lost his eye to a cat.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, so now we know the real story.
It's called a flerken. It's not even
Hey,
a cat.
don't cuss on the channel, Opal.
What? That's what it's called.
Sounds like you said that first.
She did say that word.
She did.
I said flerken.
What the
That
flirkin?
word.
Hey, you gotta be careful because YouTube is so strict, right? I can't tell you the number of videos I've put up. They're like, oh, you use foul language. Like, no. Right? I've talked to them before. I've got on the phone with them, like, oh, you said such and such, and we go back and play it. No, it was during that one when we were doing virtual reality Black Panther, and I said, oh, don't leave me, Spider-Man. when I was in there with Spider-Man, and they said, "You said what the bleep?"
Oh my god.
And we actually listened to it together. I was like, "You said what the bleep?" No, I said, "Don't leave me, Spider-Man." Something's wrong with your
Right.
software.
Right.
All right, so thanks for joining. We got a little bit long, but I needed to get some things off my chest. I feel better now. This channel's like therapy. It's like a safe place for me to come and talk and rant and get things off
Wait
my
a minute.
chest.
What was Captain Marvel doing for 30 years?
She's in outer space, helping us Skrulls find a home.
For that long?
Yeah, and apparently she hasn't aged either. Her powers stop her from aging.
Mm.
All right, thanks for joining us at Nerd of Things. We've kind of gone a long time on this, and somebody's got to get to bed. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Please make sure you hit the like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment below. We really appreciate the sign-ups, and we're just going to keep going.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye!